Hello and welcome back to the Wellness Check. Today we are going to be talking about self-brainspotting, and it's such an interesting thing to talk about. Oddly enough, we do it all the time. We do it every day. We just aren't conscious of it happening. If you have ever talked to someone, had just a normal conversation with someone, and you notice their eyes kind of like darting back and forth, or maybe they're kind of talking, but they're looking over here, or they're looking over here, that's technically self-brainspotting. And it's something that happens kind of unconsciously. We're not conscious that it's happening. It's just our mind's way of helping process whatever it is we're talking about. The more activating the conversation is, if someone's talking about a rough season in their life, you will for sure notice where the eyes are kind of stopping, and what is like a certain part of the room or a certain part of where you're at, and stay on that spot for a little while as they're talking. And I see it, of course, every day in my office. Even with my people that I strictly do EMDR with, I really like to teach people things and point things out and help people to understand themselves better. And I'll say, hey, to the effect of, I notice that when you're talking about XYZ, you're looking over here. Did you know that you were doing that? And I'll just have a simple conversation about it, something along the lines of, when you look there, is that comforting to you, or does it feel like it activates more of the emotion with this story, with what it is you're talking about? And from there, I can kind of gauge, is this maybe an activation spot, or is this maybe a resource spot? And if you have a question on what those are, I have videos, 2 separate ones talking about both of those things individually. And if it's a resource spot, meaning that it's a comforting place to look when talking about something activating, that's great. And that's really good information for the person to have, should they feel really triggered about something in their day-to-day life, or the past is just coming up to the surface, or there's something going on day-to-day in their life. They know that they can now look at that spot in their visual field and quite possibly begin to feel more calm, cool, collected, and grounded. It's really awesome. If they're looking at that spot and I point it out and they're like, actually, when I look there, it makes it feel bigger, then that's an opportunity for some more psychoeducation and support around, what do you want to do with this? Are you good just talking about it while looking in that spot? We can totally do that. If you want to hop into brain spotting, we can seamlessly do that. If that's something you want to bring into EMDR, we can do that too. There are so many options on how to help people work through the day-to-day things, whether they are big or small. And self-brainspotting is a tool that you already have and harness every day. So I'm going to teach you a little exercise that maybe you can try. And it is a no harm intended. This is not therapy. This is not trauma work. This is not brain spotting that you would find in your therapist's office. This is just a way for you to get in tune with yourself, to maybe find your own resource spot simply by moving your eyes around. And it's an interesting thing because everybody has a very different spot. No one person is the same that I've come across with yet. Some people, just by asking them to look up, feels very vulnerable, feels very nerve-wracking, feels uncomfortable. Some people telling them to look down, that actually feels really soothing. So it all has to do with your own history, how your mind has compartmentalized and put things away. And in this exercise that we're going to get to right now, we're going to figure something out about you and where a potential resource spot is. And it's very simple. You do not have to look at the screen. You can look in the more general area that you're in. If you're in a bedroom or an office, just find some still, non-distracting things to look at. And first, I'm going to ask you to just look through, kind of a little further away, at something eye level. And you're just going to kind of hold it for about 10 seconds. I'm going to do it with you. So I'm just going to look at it for about 10 seconds. And all you're doing is you're taking note of, how does that feel? Does that feel okay? Is it boring? Are you sitting here like, Katie, what are you doing? Notice that. And then I'm going to ask you to take your gaze over to the left, eye level. And you just hold it. You want to keep your head still and just move your eyes. And you can really challenge yourself with how far to the left you're going. I hope that's left for you. I'm not sure if it's flip-flopped. I don't know what axis this is on, but bring your eyes to the left, and you can bring them all the way over to the left, or just somewhere between the middle and the left. And you just hold your gaze and you notice you're not really thinking about anything. You're taking note of how your body feels. And then bring your gaze back to the middle, and then take it over to the right. And you just hold. And you can play around with how far to the right you're going. Are you going all the way? It can feel like a little strain on your eyes, but it's okay. Or are you somewhere just in the middle between middle and right? And I want you to hold it for another 10 or so seconds and just notice what your body's doing. Okay, bring it back to the middle. We're going to play around with another axis. We're going to bring our gaze up. So I want you to practice looking up. I'm looking at trees blowing in the wind right now. It's beautiful. And notice what your eyes are inclined to do here. Do they want to go up, 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 up towards the ceiling or sky? Or do they want to hang out just above middle ground? Notice that and what your body is doing. And then same with down, midline down. Notice that. Pay attention to your breath, your respiration, your thoughts, your emotions, your muscles, your body temperature, swallowing, yawning. Bring it back to middle. Let's play a little bit more with up and down, but in different directions. So this time, let's go up to the right. I hope I'm doing this to reflect it the way I want it to, but who knows? I'm going to go up to the right. Really, really up, 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 right, and hold it. Just kind of comparing and contrasting how you feel. Take as much time as you need here. Pause the video if you need. And then down right. Kind of in that bottom right corner down there. Tell me if you can notice any changes, very subtle changes in your body, physiological responses, thoughts, feelings. Let's go up to the top left. Tippity top left and hold. Notice if your eyes are trying to stay still or if they're darting around a little bit. Darting might be more of a sign of activation rather than resource. And then bring it down to the left. So we're getting all the corners and we're getting all the midline. Notice what that feels like. When you're ready, you can come back to midline. Come meet me on the screen again. And if you are an individual who's already pretty in tune with their mind-body connection, this might be a very simple activity for you. You might know right off the bat, that's uncomfortable, this is comfortable, that's comfortable, this is uncomfortable. But for many of you, this might be challenging. And I want to encourage you that if you looked at all those spots and didn't know what to think and you were stressing out, oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? No, you are not. And it can be a really good starting place for us to get more of that mind-body connection as a foundation. Nevertheless, any human being is capable of doing this, and it can really shed light onto adding another tool to our toolbox, so to speak, that if any part of your day is feeling stressful, overwhelming, etc., you kind of have a built-in spot, a resource spot that you can look at and bring yourself down a couple notches. It's a regulation skill. So if you didn't get it today in this video, I just urge you to practice. And while you're sitting there, you're saying to yourself, what do I think about? When in doubt, ask yourself, when I look here, where in my body am I feeling most grounded, connected, collected? Where am I feeling the most comfortable? Am I feeling it when I look up here? Am I feeling it when I look down there? Really getting in touch with your body's sensations, what it's telling you when you put your eyes and your gaze in a certain spot. And with practice, you will start to notice, don't know why, but it feels really good when I look here at this one little spot. That spot feels good. And without even reading too much into it, that is a new coping skill for you to be able to use. This is what we call self-brainspotting for a resource spot. This one is harmless. It can do no harm, and that's why I want to share it with you. It is not trauma processing. It's more so information about you, about where your mind might be holding certain things, and how to regulate when you're stressed out. As a little added bonus, if you are a brain spotting practitioner, if you are a client and doing brain spotting, if you're interested in brain spotting, you can, with a very big asterisk in the corner, try to do this very same thing with the points. You have 1, 2, 3 points, 1, 2, 3 points, 1, 2, 3 points, and you begin to notice activation, not a calming, but a stirring up of thoughts and feelings and physiological response. You might just want to take note of where that is in your visual field, and practice that with your brain spotting therapist. Hey, I noticed when I looked here the other day, I got more activated. I got a little bit more tense. Whatever that response was for you, you can take that into your therapy. And if you're not seeing a brain spotting therapist, you can still go to your regular therapist, wonderful regular therapist, and say, hey, I need to tell you this story. It's a difficult one for me to talk about, and I'm not going to make eye contact with you. I'm going to look in this little spot. Don't mind me. And you're actually going to get a lot more processing done by just telling the story when looking at that spot. I just don't always encourage people to do that on their own, because who knows what could come up and how it could make you feel. And I just want to make sure that you're really supported through something like that. But that's the interesting fact of the day. Self-brain spotting can be an incredibly useful tool. And now that you know about it, I hope that you're watching people's eyes when they talk, because you will never look at conversations the same way again once you know the power, and unconscious power at that, of people automatically self-brain spotting all the time. It's a really, really cool thing. I wish you guys the happiest of holidays. For some, they can be very tough and enduring, and I'm giving big hugs to you. And for some, this is a very joyful time, and I hope that you have a wonderful time regardless. And I will see you in the new year. Thanks for checking in with your wellness. I'll see you soon.